39-year-old Stephan stands accused of sexually abusing and murdering his girlfriend's daughter, Madeline Soto, in Kissimmee, Florida. Madeline had just celebrated her 13th birthday when she was murdered, but the alleged abuse began when she was just 8 years old. Prosecutors are permitted to use images and videos from Stern's phone and Google Drive, allegedly showing the years of abuse. Facing over 60 child sex abuse charges and a separate first-degree murder case that could carry the death penalty, Stearns has pleaded not guilty. The trial is set to begin next week, and tonight we have the latest rulings from the court. But first, under a gray autumn sky in Lacey, Washington, horror erupted outside Timberland High School. 17-year-old Fatima Ali was attempting to run away from home, away from her parents. According to court documents, Fatima claimed she was defying her parents' wishes for an arranged marriage with a man from Iraq, a claim disputed by her mother and father. Fatima was running away from home and trying to get to a youth shelter. That's when she was confronted by her parents at a bus stop at the high school. Her father allegedly strangled her until she lost consciousness, while her mother joined in, choking and dragging her across the pavement. Students and her boyfriend intervened desperately as the school went into lockdown. A passerby wrestled the father to the ground until police arrived. Court records revealed the alleged terrifying motive, the threat of an honor killing if she did not obey. The parents now face charges including attempted murder, kidnapping, and assault. The trial began today with opening statements and a shocking video of the alleged attack. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to have you aboard tonight, but unfortunately we're talking about parents on trial again here at Court TV. Not the first time, unfortunately won't be the last time. And it just makes you think, why do you become a parent in the first place? I mean, what's your purpose as a parent? To raise, nurture, and protect. Raise, nurture, and protect. Well, let's talk about these parents. There was an attack. And I know there was an attack because there were a whole bunch of witnesses who saw this attack, which was also on video. So what happened is in clear view of everyone here. It's a father, it's a mother out of control, going after their daughter, teenage daughter. Yeah, teenagers can be tough sometimes. We've all been there who've had teenagers. They have good moments and they have some really bad moments. But this is a bad moment for these parents. The question for the jury is, will it be a criminal moment? But the other question is, why would they do this? Why would you attack your daughter in broad daylight in front of dozens of witnesses and on camera? Why would you do it? Is there some explanation for this? Is there some mitigation, some way? Because you can't say you didn't do it, because you did it. The witnesses saw it. It's recorded on video. You did it. The real question now is, why did you do it? And is there anything that you can say that can somehow lessen a father's hands around his daughter's neck as her eyes are rolling back in her head? Is there any way to explain that? And if you can explain it in some way as to why you did it, will the jury care? Will the jury care? That's a big question in this case, because what actually happened is going to be pretty clear. Clear from the video, clear from the witnesses, including the victim in this case. So now the onus, even though the burden of proof is one direction always, but we know what that proof is. And when that proof is put in front of a jury, all of a sudden it's up to the defense to do something with it. And why would you do that? Why would you do that? And we'll see. We'll see if there's any explanation. Let's get to the video. Now, I'm going to show you the video in just a second. I'm going to warn you, it's violent. Those are the accusations in this case. But we took the sound out because there's so much cursing going on in this attack and the people coming to try to save this teenager from her own parents that we had to take the sound out. So I'm going to play the video for you. There's a bus pulling up. The bus has a camera. And take a look at what's happening here. As we zoom in, you can see the attack happening. Now, we've blurred out some of the underage people there, but there you see the father has the upper hand on the daughter now and has his two hands around her neck and has her down on the ground. She's beneath him. And you've got everyone else now trying desperately to save this girl from her own dad. Thank goodness this is happening in public and not behind closed doors in a house where there's no one there to protect her. Here's the bus driver coming out. Everyone's jumping in. Think about how many people it's taking to stop this man from going after his own daughter. And there comes someone who's driving down the street. He jumps in. At first, everyone's thinking probably it's just a bunch of kids fighting, but it's obvious that it wasn't at this point. Unbelievable when you think about this. You're doing it in broad daylight. All these people here, these are all what we call eyewitnesses. The camera, that's also more direct evidence. It's a video of the actual attack. So the evidence in this case is going to be pretty consistent, pretty clear about what's happening and how people are reacting to all of this. So, what's the trial about? The trial is really about some explanation, some attempt to mitigate what is happening here in plain sight. Unbelievable. You think about it. I mean, think about it. This is a father going after a daughter? First of all, any grown man going after a teenage girl, like, really? And you're her father. You're there to protect her from other people who might try to harm her. And then mom jumps in on it? Then mom jumps in? Really? Okay. But you know how I feel about all this. Let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Al Wunsch III. Also with us, criminal defense attorney Darnell Crossland and family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. Great to have everyone here. Let's just start with the actual video of the attack here, Al. I mean, to me, you've got this direct evidence plus all these other witnesses. So for this trial, in proving what you want to prove, this is what you lay out for them.
Yeah. I mean, as they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And you've got the picture, you've got the people saying the words. So, I mean, you've got the double whammy there. And I don't know how you can overcome that film. I mean, it's just remarkable, and overcome what these people saw and what these people experienced, and the fear that they had watching what he was doing to his own daughter, all because he feels justified by some culturally sanctioned belief, okay, that the daughter is doing something that could dishonor or embarrass her family, and bring shame upon them because she's not conforming to the social norms that they believe she should be conforming to. This doesn't happen in this country. It shouldn't happen in any country, okay? And this is an absolute travesty. And I don't know how anyone in their right mind who sees this could say anything other than these people are as guilty as sin.
Darnell, what I see here is a man, a father, imploding his own family. Like, you're taking your family and you're blowing it up. The family's done now. This family is done. You've got the criminal trial. Hey, maybe you get lucky at the criminal trial. I don't know. The bottom line is this family is done now.
First of all, anything you do, you have to have some kind of goal or reason or rationale. So if the rationale was he's trying to prevent dishonor, like you just said, he's done. So the family's dishonored now. And I hate to agree with Al, but this is America. It's not condoned. It shouldn't be condoned anywhere. But what do you come here for? It had to be more than a check at Walmart. We know that these young people are the faces of the new generation. They're changing racism, culturism, and everything else. And he must expect that. You know, it's one thing, you know, to say that you want to make sure your kids, you know, dress appropriately, because these young kids push that a little bit. But you're going to stop her growth in terms of who she wants to marry or who she wants to love. So I think he's pushed the envelope on that, and now he's entered the criminal world, and he should get sanctioned very, very heavily, because you should not abuse children. Like you said, protect, raise, and support. And he didn't do any of those things today or when this happened.
Jennifer Brand, I look at this case, and this 17-year-old girl, she's trying to get away from her parents, trying to get away from her home. Teenagers do that. You know, they can do it for real reasons. They can do it for fake reasons. You know, it happens. Here, she was trying to get to a shelter. I mean, that's the bottom line. She's trying to get out and get to a shelter, and she is stopped right here as she's trying to get onto a city bus to get to this shelter at this point. This is a family problem that is now a criminal problem.
That's right. And, you know, Vinny, a lot of people, and maybe some of the jurors, will think that it is a family problem. And, you know, parents are allowed to discipline their children. Now, reasonable discipline. And this certainly goes way beyond what anyone in this country would deem reasonable, because once you see the video and the violence and choking her, and there's going to be witnesses probably testifying that her eyes were rolling back in her head and she was passing out. So clearly it's more than regular discipline. But it started out as a family problem. And, you know, I think that's what the defense is going to say, that this is between them. You know, maybe she was wrongfully going to a shelter or trying to get to a shelter, and her parents were trying to prevent that. I think we can all agree it went too far, but, you know, the defense is going to have to come up with something.
Yeah, and you use the right words there, come up with something, right? So you're talking about witnesses. Let's take a listen to the bus driver who testified, first witness. That's how they got the video in from the bus he was driving. Take a listen.
Initially, I thought it was just teenagers being rowdy, but as I got closer to the stop, I noticed it was actually a grown man fighting with some teenage students. While they were fighting, while the punches were being thrown, he did lay a punch onto the male student, who fell back. And at that time, the adult actually grabbed this female student.
Sorry, when you say grabbed her, what do you mean by that?
He grabbed her, right, like through the front, spun around, and then put a chokehold on her.
And what happened next?
They fell to the ground, and he held her. A couple of other students came running over, and they were hitting him, trying to get him to stop. I went out there and confronted the man while he was on the ground holding the female student, and I told him, let her go. As he was holding her, he was clutching his arm, and he was choking her. I noticed her eyes rolling into the back of her head, so what I did is I grabbed his hand and I pulled it off. I was able to spread his arms apart, and that's when she got free.
The level of rage, it took all these people, Al, to separate him from the attack on his own daughter.
I mean, imagine this, poor bus driver, who's going on a route, and I'm sure he's seen some crazy things in his day with, drunk people getting on the bus or people being rowdy on the bus or things along those lines. And to see what was going on there, for him to stop and get out and join in the fracas to be able to save this young lady from her father, who had her in a chokehold that sounds like it's something from like the WWE, where it's got the arm and then he's putting more pressure on her neck, eyes rolling up in her head. And this is what is being seen there. And you're right. It's the passion that is the most troubling out of all of this. That's not any type of, behavior modification or trying to punish someone for being naughty. Okay. There's something way beyond that level. Okay. And I don't think anyone can justify that by any stretch of the imagination, to put someone at the point of death, okay, because they won't listen to you or they're going to go to a shelter. I mean, how bad must it have been for this young girl to want to go to a shelter rather than go to her own house. So that tells you something right there.
And Darnell, I think the big question you always have to wonder in an attempted murder case, if there isn't this intervention, what happens, right? What's the result if all these folks, including another man who was driving the other direction, stopped his own car, got out and helped?
Yeah, so it's like I heard in the former segment, it has to go to intent, and intent is the hardest thing to prove because you have to sort of first begin to try to look into the mind of the individual, and when that fails, then you look at the behavior and the actions of the individual to see if you can formulate their intent. So it's up to juries, right? But depending on what the defense says, it clears that this father snapped, he was out of his mind. Maybe that negates intent, but then it becomes reckless. So it can go down to, a manslaughter, attempted manslaughter, or something that doesn't have a mens rea. But that's what it's going to really boil down to in the criminal court. The behavior is clear. We don't condone it. He needs to be punished. But when you start to separate where are we legally, it goes to what can they prove that he intended to do this.
The other part of this, Jennifer, the rage aspect and the way, even after he was cuffed and he's in a cruiser, he's trying to order his wife and daughter what they were supposed to do. No acknowledgement of the moment. I wonder if he's acknowledging it now inside the courtroom.
Well, from the pictures that we're seeing, it looks like he's listening pretty intently. Whether he's acknowledging it or not, that's another thing. And, I think there may be, in terms of the defense, that, trying to make an explanation culturally. I mean, that this was something that he believed, perhaps, that she was bringing dishonor upon the family. And we've all said, Darnell and Al already mentioned, that's not something we condone here, and it shouldn't be condoned anywhere. But there may be some cultural differences that can be explained or try to be explained as to where the rage came from. Because this isn't your ordinary situation where she's just dating somebody he doesn't like or the family doesn't like. This goes way beyond that she's bringing some kind of dishonor to the family and they wanted to marry her off, which is something I don't even think they can mention during the trial. Isn't that correct?
Right, yeah, they're not allowed to mention it. Not allowed to mention it. It was part of the pre-trial motions, but it's not in there.
That's only going to work if they have a jury on the Zoom screen from his country. Sorry, Jen.
Yeah. All right, Al, Darnell, Jennifer, staying with us. When we come back, we're going to take a listen to the opening statements for the defense, because two different opening statements. You have two defendants, the mother and the father, both facing charges here, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan investigates one of the most disturbing cases in recent court TV history, back in the news. Convicted child torturer Shonda Vander Ark is looking for a new trial. Does she have any chance? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan investigates tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
Convicted killer Brian Kohberger will learn his fate for murdering 4 Idaho college students and come face to face with the families of his victims.
The sentencing of Brian Kohberger, July 23rd, only on Court TV.
Fatima will tell you that after she got to the bus stop, she saw that her father also arrived at the bus stop. After her father arrived at the bus stop, Mr. Ali started to yell at Fatima to try to get her to go home with him. Fatima will tell you that she told her dad that she didn't want to go home at that time. And she will also tell you that a struggle ensued, and when Isaiah, her boyfriend, tried to help her, Mr. Ali punched Isaiah in the face. Fatima will tell you that after Mr. Ali punched Isaiah in the face, he then proceeded to grab her and wrap his arm around her neck. She will tell you that after that, things became a little bit blurry and a little bit hazy for her, and she doesn't remember much about what happened after her father put his arms around her neck because she eventually lost consciousness. Fatima will tell you that when she came to, she saw that her mother was also on the ground with her, and rather than helping her, her mother at one point also wrapped her arms around Fatima's neck, which caused Fatima to have difficulty breathing.
That's the prosecutor laying out the facts of the case. what they intend to prove in the case of two parents, both charged with the attempted murder of their own daughter after an attack that was caught on video. Now, every case has a defense. Everyone that goes on trial has a defense. Either the attorneys have some argument, or maybe they try to present some different facts to the case, whatever it may be. So let's take a listen to the father's attorney laying out what they believe this case is really about.
What you're also going to hear is from Isaiah Williams. Isaiah Williams saw Mr. Ali's truck before Mr. Ali saw him. And he said to his friend, when he saw him sitting there, before anything had happened, he said, "Be ready." It's an unusual statement, but that's what he said. You are going to hear that Mr. Ali had a conversation with his daughter about coming home. He was not yelling, not out of anger at that point. And you're going to hear that Isaiah and Fatima started struggling. Isaiah inserted himself into the situation. He got between mother and daughter. He was going to be, as a 16-year-old kid, the person making decisions apparently in this case. You're going to hear him testify that he was punched. But you're going to watch video in this case. And it's very important, the video in this case, because this incident was captured on video in its entirety. People are going to testify to different things, but I want you to be careful about what they say versus what you see. They're different. And you're also going to hear about this pneumomediated dyner. Okay? This condition is when you have air in your cavity of your chest. And it happens in different ways. And you're going to hear two main ways it happens. One is puncture injuries. In this case, there was no puncture injury. The other way that it happens is if you have blunt force trauma, the most common way, likely what happened in this case. Blunt force trauma, as was explained, and the doctors will tell you, causes this injury because if you hold your breath and then you hit the ground, your lungs are like a balloon. And if you hit the ground, sometimes that balloon will pop. You're going to hear the doctors tell you that by 8:43 a.m. the next morning they did a chest x-ray of Fatima and the condition had resolved. It was not life-threatening. It was not something they monitored after that point. There was no evidence of it occurring other than for one incident. Likely blunt force trauma, which you'll see in the video, could have been caused in numerous ways. One of them falling to the ground, which is interesting because you're going to see in the video that they didn't really fall to the ground. You're going to see that Isaiah Williams attacked him, attacked Mr. Ali. Him and Fatima were knocked to the ground after hitting a tree. Knocked to the ground where punching and kicking occurred. You're going to see 42 punches, 3 kicks to the head, all done by Isaiah Williams and his friends to Mr. Ali.
We now have the defense for the father. Jennifer Brand, he's the victim. He was attacked by the 16-year-old.
Yep, and her injury wasn't caused by him, it was caused by falling to the ground and hitting herself on the ground because the 16-year-old knocked him over. So there you go. It wasn't his fault at all. There's no explanation really of why he was in there grabbing her neck and holding on to her, but regardless, it wasn't his fault. It was the boyfriend coming in between mother and daughter and father and daughter and getting involved. So
he was talking about the video. I thought I just saw the father punch somebody in the face in the beginning of the video. He was saying, look at the video. I just looked at it. It looked like he punched someone in the face. Darnell, what are your thoughts about this defense for the father?
Well, it really didn't address what us legal scholars call the elements of the crime. It didn't talk about the intent. And instead, he sort of highlighted the injuries, saying injuries are caused by this, injuries are caused by that. So unless this victim is injured in such a way that makes his client liable, you gotta let him go. But I think that fails because you don't have to have an injury in some attempted murder. As long as there was what's perceived to be deadly force, which is choking a girl like the way he was doing, to me, that's deadly force. If you shoot at someone and you miss.
That was interesting. Did you see that? Just as he shot and missed, we lost Darnell. He just...
Obviously, they hit Darnell.
Yeah.
I think Al did it.
Al, did you pull the plug on his camera again?
I'm on the camera. You're not going to be able to... I have a perfect alibi on this one.
All right, let's do this. Let's take a listen, Al, to the mother's attorney explain what her defense is.
The incident outside of Timberline High School captured on the bus video. Fatima Ali, 17, will tell you, I don't think that my mom was trying to hurt me. I think that she was trying to protect me from the chaos. You see the bus driver stop, he gets out, attempts to intervene. You will then see the passersby who then stop, attempt to intervene, separate, and hold Mr. Ali on the ground. Around this time, you will then see my client, her mom, come and attempt to help her daughter. Now, we have the video from the bus. There's additional cell phone videos that you will see. You will see her. She is holding onto her daughter. She's not holding onto her neck. Fatima describes her mom as saying, my daughter, my daughter. You will see Fatima's eyes wide. She is just gathering her wits after this whole chaos and melee when she is under her dad. Her dad is being punched and kicked repeatedly while on top of her. She's in the arms of her mom. Isaiah is attempting to remove her from the scene, hold her away from her mom, and eventually they run into the school. I don't believe that my mom intended to harm me. She was just trying to get me away from the chaos. She looked worried. She was simply saying, my daughter, my daughter.
All right, Al Wunsch, what are your thoughts about this defense, and will a jury look at them as a mother and father, or will they look at them as two separate defendants the way that they're supposed to?
If I'm sitting there as the jury, I'd say, if that is the situation, why isn't mom testifying against dad? Because if that's the thing that I was there to try to, help her and protect her and everything else, then I should be on the stand saying, this man, attacked our daughter and went after our daughter and was trying to kill our daughter. She's not doing that, So I don't find that is going to be convincing whatsoever. I think the best defense for the father, based on what was said by defense counsel, and I give him credit for coming up for something that was probably more original than I would have ever thought of. But I think it would be better off using the old Flip Wilson line, the devil made me do it, because I can find that to be a lot more believable than what he's saying, that he's the victim in this. And what was he doing? Using his daughter as a shield to protect himself? I mean, there's no convincing anyone that these two were not attacking this woman, this girl, this young lady, No, there is nothing that they can say. And the fact that the mother is sitting there going, well, I was there to help, then testify against dad.
You think there's a chance that happens, Jennifer Brandt, that she takes the stand in her own defense, and her own defense is pointing the finger at the guy next to her?
I don't think she's going to point the finger at him, but I think she may take the stand in her own defense. But I think the problem is, you heard the prosecutor's opening, and the prosecutor said that when the daughter of Fatima opened her eyes, mom was not helping her, but instead tried to choke her as well. So I think we're going to need to hear from the daughter as to which version is correct, because the defense counsel is saying something completely different, that the daughter said that, she didn't believe her mom was there to hurt her, intervene, or harm her in any way. I mean, you also have to keep in mind, and it'll probably be brought in, the fact that the mom was under some kind of restraining order, wasn't even supposed to be at the school, and there was prior violence against the boyfriend by mom. So she doesn't seem like she's also innocent in this. Plus, she was there with the other daughter who they brought along to take her away, take Fatima away, or harm her, kill her. Who knows? But they were all there. So,
Darnell, do you see the case of the mother and the father differently?
I think they acted in concert. Again, when you look at conspiracies, you don't have to have a writing. You just have to have behavior that's commensurate with the outcome. And as Jennifer said, if this woman has a propensity of violence against his boyfriend, it's clear they share the same intent. By all means necessary, keep their daughter away from that boyfriend. So I find that the elements that you have to prove for one are the same for both.
So, Al, the parents are not conceding that there was some sort of arranged marriage or kidnapping was going to take place here. It was just a trip to Iraq. What do you think is at the heart of this? They don't like the boyfriend? You have a rebel of a teenage daughter? Or do you think there's more to this? Because parents, a lot of times, they won't like the boyfriend, right? And especially if you have strong, whatever your beliefs are about who your daughter should be with or not be with anyone at this point. I don't know. Do you think it's more about that, or is it more about this trip to Iraq?
Well, it's a little. It is not only the boyfriend, but it's also the social norms that they believe she should be conforming to, that she's not. It's like there's a song on World War I. How do you keep the boys down on the farm after they've seen Paris? And so they're in that same position. They're going, how are we going to keep her as a young Muslim, woman, okay, who's supposed to be listening to her father, doing this, doing that, who's now going out wearing jewelry, staying out late, listening to wild music, okay, hanging out with people that they don't believe are desirable, and that is bringing shame to their family, and that she does not understand that, and she doesn't comprehend that. Why? Because she's Americanized, and she's never going to understand that. And so this whole thing about the fact that they're denying that, I don't think she's making that up, okay? Because it certainly fits along the line. For you to get to the point where you're going to start strangling your daughter, there's something more on the line than a trip to Iraq, okay? So there's something there that just doesn't add up. It's a horrendous case. I hope they're both found guilty and that the keys are thrown away on these two.
We shall see. We'll continue our coverage on Court TV, but when we come back, another big trial about to begin. This man, Stephan Stearns, he's accused of murdering Madeline Soto, but first he has to face a sex abuse trial that includes years of alleged abuse of the young girl he's also accused of murdering, his girlfriend's daughter.
Defense in this case is asking that Mr. Stearns be free of the as either use of the leg brace or the stun cuff, and we're also asking for the use of a regular writing test, specifically maybe a belt pin in this case.
All right, so you've got the defendant, Stephan Stearns, accused child molester, accused child murderer, and facing a potential death penalty in his second trial, facing life in his first trial, which starts next week. His attorney asking that he just be able to sit at counsel table like anyone else and have no form of restraint at all. Take a look here. This is the deputy from the Osceola County Sheriff's Office showing the judge a stun cuff, which is, I believe that's what Sarah Boone had. You put that on your leg, and then if you suddenly dart out or go to attack someone, you'll get the shock of your life. The judge apparently did not want that. The defense argued against it, saying sometimes they accidentally go off. So instead, he's going to get a restrictive leg brace. So he will not be able to run anywhere. He'll have leg brace, but he's going to wear the suit, the tie. The jury won't see it. You know, there won't be any prejudice against him. His feet will be under the table, and that's where his a leg brace will be. That will keep him where he needs to be. So that's the latest. But what I want to talk about here are the charges in this first trial? And he's facing life in prison for these charges. And I just have to remind you, all this stuff was found on his cell phone and on his Google Drive, which he said he accidentally did a factory reset on, but they were able to extract the information because it repopulated. Take a look. Upon reviewing the contents of Stephan's phone, several images and videos were located which depicted the missing juvenile. Now, this is Madeline Soto, who was missing at the time. Then they found her body later on that week, with her breasts, her other private parts in the front and in the back as the focal point of the pictures and videos that are on his phone. There were also pictures and videos depicting Madeline Soto, the missing juvenile's private parts and mouth being penetrated by a male private part. And they're going to match it all up to Stephan Stearns. Those are the allegations. So with that in mind, like, this is evidence that is on video and on photographs that are on his Google Drive, on his phone. So what on earth is his defense? Let's bring back in our think tank Al Wunsch, Darnell Cross, and Jennifer Brandt. Sorry, Jennifer. Okay. Darnell, what's the defense? Like, how do you defend that? What do you do?
Well, when you say the words in your opening, like allegedly depicting or something like that, that gives the defense the tee off. I mean, so it sounds like they're going to say, you know, AI is in play. Can you be sure that this is his? They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt how it got there. That is the little girl that you see. So I haven't seen the pictures, but if there's any possibility that they could sort of show a distortion in these pictures and say that we can't say for sure that it's the little girl, or that it was the defendant, or that he's the one who placed it there, they're going to have to go down that road. I don't buy it, but that seems like a tee off where they might start.
So it's a combination, Jennifer, of still images and videos. So you hear the voice, you hear the voices. It shouldn't be too much of a challenge to authenticate it. I believe there are some marks on that guy's nether region, apparently, that it can be positively identified by some sort of marking or something. I don't want to see it. We won't see it. The jury's going to be the only ones going to see all this stuff because you can't put it up on the screen in the courtroom. It's child pornography. Like, what do you think his defense is going to... Is he going to try to say it's not me?
I don't know what he's going to say, Vinny. I mean, he tried to erase it, and now they have it. And what could he possibly say? I mean, I think, as you pointed out, they'll be able to identify him from certain markings. And, you know, it's just so disturbing. I can't even... I don't think there's anything that anybody could say about this. And I don't know what kind of defense he'll even put on, because I really don't think there's any way out of it for him. There's these pictures, they speak for themselves, and I think it's going to be pretty easy to identify who's on them. And if it's not this little girl, then it's some little girl. So it's horrible, no matter what.
Yeah, Al, the other thing that they can do in these photographs is they can identify the rooms, because they've been in that. It's the house that Jen Soto's been living in for all these years, so they can identify certain things from the background of the photos as well. So it's very obvious to investigators it was. These cases rarely go to trial, right? I mean, how often does someone go to trial, you know, with a bunch of images that are found on his phone?
No, the only time it ever goes to trial is if there's a legitimate defense that his system has been hacked, or as Darnell said, that these were AI generated or something along those lines. There's no way, any of this, it would be a defense that he's going to be able to use whatsoever on this. And the factory reset situation is going to be one of the biggest problems he'd have to try to explain. It's insane that they're going to trial on this, but quite honestly, under the circumstances, if there's not an offer that, makes any sense, why not give it a shot? Because, You never know. You can maybe convince one member of the jury that he's not a sick, a sick individual.
Well,
who's done this
the
to this
biggest
poor girl.
mitigating factor at sentencing is always accepting responsibility for your actions. He has an
That's
opportunity.
true.
He could just plead guilty to all the charges. That, yeah, that's me. I did it. I'm guilty. You know, and
Maybe
then,
this is the devil made me do it again.
yeah, and have something else. Anyway, a lot of these images predate AI, by the way. So in the future, that's going to be probably a difficult thing to overcome for prosecutors, but not in this case. Al Wunsch, Darnell Cross, and Jennifer Brandt, thank you so much. Great to see you. When we come back, something else you need to know, plus, coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, she is one of the most notorious child-abusing parents in court TV history. Shonda Vander Ark was convicted in an hour, and now she believes she deserves a brand new trial. Will she get a second chance? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates, coming up next, only on Court TV.
Donna Adelson is facing charges of murder, the death of her former son-in-law.
Now that Donna has turned into a defendant, what's next for the Adelson clan?
The Matriarch Mastermind Murder Trial. Live coverage this August on Court TV.
Welcome back. Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board. What do we have? Oh, bonded out and pregnant. Meet Nicole Callahan, 33 years old. She's a kindergarten teacher, accused of sexually assaulting a teenager for 2 years. Was granted bond after revealing she was pregnant during a hearing. We do not believe it is the accuser, who was 14 years old at the time. Here's a statement from the accuser.
When I was 14, I was lonely and depressed, and that's how she found me, a teacher, someone who is supposed to help kids learn and grow. Instead, she groomed and molested me. She saw I was vulnerable and used that to her advantage. What started as attention during a school play quickly turned into manipulation, emotional abuse, and trauma that I never should have had to carry. She was touchy, inappropriate, and invasive. She broke down my sense of self, fed into my eating disorder, deepened my depression, and twisted the way I saw love, identity, and safety. She called me a when I tried to save her life. She told me to kill myself when I was barely holding on. She made it difficult for me to be myself, confused about who I was, and alone at a time I needed support the most. And all while doing this, she had a 2-year-old daughter, a little girl I loved like a sister, as she tore me apart behind closed doors. She didn't hurt me, she stole from me my childhood, my teenage years, the time I was supposed to be discovering who I was. She filled me with shame, guilt, silence, and fear. She saw a boy with a soft heart and tried to break him, but she didn't win. I am not haunted by her, I am not broken, I am stronger than she will ever be, and I hope it eats her alive to know that after everything she did, I still rose. I found my voice, I found my power, and I will never be silenced again. I didn't deserve the trauma and pain that she threw at me, and now the only thing she gets to live with is the truth and some really deep regret.
Powerful statement. That's why they call it sex abuse. Doesn't matter about the gender of the offender or of the victim. It's all about the age. All right, folks, please take a look at your screens. We have a missing child who needs your help tonight. This is Jaden Totten. Jaden missing from Peoria, Illinois since July 10th, just 16 years old. If you see Jaden, pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference. You can call 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Peoria Police Department in Illinois. That number's up on your screen right now. Let's see if we can get Jaden to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.